Hello guys, Shurify here. So today we're gonna do a tutorial on C++. So I'm gonna just briefly go over most of the basics components and get into using GDExtensions. So first of all, main. This is required for all C++ programs, and you could pass in arguments, but these are not required here, so we remove them for now. In C++, variables are typed, so you have to have an int for a number that's an integer, character array for a string, and a float would be you get it, point 3.14, and an array would be of the type of array, and then brackets, and then the values in open and close. Functions are declared using void in general. If you don't want it to return anything, let's call it my function. And you could have a function that returns something. So let's say int add. Now we want to pass variables to it, int b. And we want to return the answer to that. So a plus b. In order to print it out to the console here, we need to include something called IO stream. This allows us to get values from the console or to print out values to the console. So we go up to the top of the document here and say include IO stream. Okay, so this allows us to print out a value. So let's go to the main function now where the program starts. Now you have that value in the number. Now we could say std. This is for standard for all the functions from the IO stream. Cout, that's console out, and these two arrows, they mean you want to send something to the output, and we could pass that number here, and we could add another one for a new line. And then I'm using sconce here from the last tutorial, so just go ahead and run that, and then we could print out that program. There you go, 50. We have plenty of conditional statements. You have less than, the back arrow, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, not equal to, and equal to. And there's an if statement. So if a equals b, you want to say a is equal to b. If it's less than b, let's say a is less than b. And then if otherwise, which would be greater, which it is greater than b. So, and that's just a few of the common ones. I also forgot to mention the and or operators. So and the two signs, ampersand sign, to check against two conditions. You could add more, and then you have the or, two, what you call those, whatever you call those, two of those, and then two condition checks, or you could have more. Keep in mind you could also use the or keyword, and for the and you could use and keyword, but those can be confusing because just don't use it. It's weird. That would be a Python thing, but I guess it's in C++ as well. You also have for loops and while loops. And to declare a for loop, you say for I, or any variable you want to call it, equals to whichever value you want to call it. So this is a standard, so it will be for I equals 0. Then I less than a certain value, you want to increment I. And then we're just printing that out, the count, and it goes from 0 obviously to 9 since it's 10. And a while loop. So while a condition is true, while a is less than 0, you want to decrement a by 1. And we could also break it if we want. So we could say if a is less than 5, since we're decrementing, we're not going to finish this while loop. So we're breaking out of it. And I'm also printing it out. So let's run that and see how it looks. Scones. And then we could run that program. And I didn't use new lines, so everything's printed in one spot. So let's do that to make it more readable. Build and run. There you go. So first loop is counting to 9. So 0 to 9. The second loop is going from 20 here. So it starts at 19. Decrement first, so it started at 19. And it reaches to 5. So we break right there. So we don't go all the way down to 0. And instead of doing this, we could just say a minus minus. Should work the same. And in the same way you could say plus plus, but that won't work out here the way we want anyways. Alright. Class is just an object with variables and functions that could be private, public. You could also have protected and friend, but we won't go over those. And it has a constructor as well and a destructor. A constructor is used to, generally set up the class, or set up an instance of the class, I mean. So here I'm just assigning the name and the age and the constructor. And then I'm just printing out that I just added this person. And then the destructor, now we could get rid of certain things, or here in this case I'm just printing that we're deleting this object. And I have a set address function that gives us access to this private variable. Could set the address, but here I'm just calling it in main. So we created a new instance, call it chev, and that's my name, and h, and return 0. And if I run it now, let's go to scons and run the program. And there you go, person name Siobhan created, person name Siobhan removed. Keep in mind you can have multiple constructors, which here I am just initializing person without passing any values. It's called constructor overloading. So inherit the class, you first need to create the class, then a colon, then public and person. That's the base class that we're inheriting. Then you could create your variables for your inheriting class. And then whenever you create a constructor, if your base class requires parameters for its constructor and it doesn't have no params constructor, you need to call its constructor. So you go at the end of the rich person constructor, we have a colon again, and then you could type person here and then pass in those values here. And then you can do the rest of your variables. And here I'm printing out wealth is yada yada. And on here I create rich person, chev, 1 million, I wish, but you know. Then I set the address as usual. Let's print it out. So sconce, then /prog, and there you go. And now it says first name Siobhan created. Remember that's being called on the params constructor. So let's copy this here. Copy and paste it here. So we could see if I don't use this constructor here, you'll see what happens. Let's delete that. Then we could run this again, sconce, and then program. There you go, person name, no name created. No name's wealth is 1 million, and then the address. This is because this constructor is getting called by default if there's nothing past to it, and then all these getting set up. All right, and that's inheritance. Now, pointers are addresses of the location and memory of a variable. So for example, here I have int number, that's 10. And to create a pointer, you need to have the same type and then a star sign, and then the pointer's name, then equals to the ampersand and the value, the variable of which you need its address. And then here I'm printing it out. So the integer that will print out 10. Memory address is pointer, a new line. And then down here, you want to know what the value at the address is. So you do something called dereferencing. So this is referencing to get the address. And dereferencing is getting what's at that address, the value at the address. So we could right here, you could see what we have down here. So 10 memory address is yada yada. And let's clear it and run it again. Let's do a test. Now we have integer 10 memory address is, and then the value at that same address is 10. All right, and you could actually pass that back into a variable. So let's create a new variable and then just pass it in. So int, there you go. Now I'm dereferencing that. And then I could say std, cout, and that's it. There you go. Print the 10, but remember, I have to have a new line. We've been using this include keyword to include the library IO stream that's stored on the system. But if you want to include a file that you have in your, that you program, you wrote, you could also include it using quotation mark. So now I could include this person CPP that I wrote. It's basically from before, but I just put it in a separate file. So now I could just person.cpp. So this file as a class, the same class as that I created, the person class. So now whenever I include it, I could go back to main, and now I could just create a person from here. And there you go. Now that's including. So I could run that now and run sconce and program. And there you go. Person name Siobhan created, person name Siobhan removed. Header files are used to declare classes, functions, and variables. This shows that these objects or variables exist, but you also need to define them. So here in my person CPP class, we're using this operator here to find what person's constructor would be. So here I'm just assigning the name and the h, Same for the rest of them. This is the override constructor with the parameters. It's basically the same as before. So you could compile this class as a library, and then you would pass this header file with that library. And then you would have to link it, and we're not going to get into all of that though. So here now, in the main CPP, I only need to include that header file instead of the CPP file. And now I could define the person and then do that. And I could use all of its functionality. So could get or set address, for example. And remember, this doesn't know that the CV file is here as yet. It's for the compiler to. Don't know if I'm explaining that right. I don't want to spend too much time on it. Alright guys, last but not least, namespaces. So namespaces are used to like block out code that would have the same function name. So here I have an int add function, my math function. And then I have a float of the same function. So here to use them, you call the namespace first and then the operator, and then you use add. So the actual name of this is a scope operator. I think that's the full name. And then use it again here. And if we run it, the scons, there you go. You could do something called using namespace, and you could use the my math here. If you do that, we could get rid of this my math here because this is globally covering the script now, the whole file. And if we get rid of it here as well, you'll see what happens. Save, and let's run program. Nope, not run program. Compile and then run program. If you notice, it get rid of the point at the end because we're using this math function, and it returns an integer, so it's dropping off the float value. But if we switch to using namespace my other math file and run again, now you get the same thing. So the float add is being used on both. So since this doesn't have a float value in here, just get the straight 30 without the 0.0. And I could just go ahead and do it here. Put 0.7, for example. There you go, 30.7, 30.5. And that should be it. By the way, the STD is also a namespace, so you could say using namespace here. Namespace STD. We don't have to use this anymore, but sometimes it's not required or not recommended. So I've heard. I don't really care about it that much, to be honest. And then we could run again. There you go. All right. Okay, so that should be it for the most part. No, I missed a whole bunch of stuff, and it should be good enough for creating some simple GD extensions. So the next video, we're gonna start working on extensions. We're gonna create some simple stuff, and that's about it. So thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe, and see you in another one.